It's finally Friday. It's Friday, Friday.
Thank God it's
Welcome back to the Friday Show. I'm Scott Jagow along with Ray Paulick. We're glad you could join us. Ray obviously is at Santa Anita Park, the big story of the week. It's been a difficult time for the racing business since the track was shut down after all the fatalities, and the national spotlight has been pretty harsh.
A puzzling and sad story at Santa Anita Racetrack in California. 21 horses over the past 2 months have died after injuries suffered on the track.
I have no idea why horse racing is still a thing. I mean, you're talking about this particular course, and since Christmas, essentially, that is remarkable and appalling.
Watch the number 4 horse. The 3-year-old thoroughbred appears to stumble, and his jockey pulls back. Because of a severe leg injury, the horse had to be euthanized.
In recent days, animal rights activists have demonstrated outside the track.
This is animal cruelty.
They say profits, not the horse's safety, is the racing industry's main concern.
So, Ray, we're taping the Friday show on Thursday, and this is a fluid situation with lots of developing news. What's the latest as of now?
Well, this morning when I came out, the racetrack was closed for racing and for training. Both the main dirt track and the infield training track are closed for the second straight day after Tuesday's fatality. As you said, the media has been all over this story. But Dennis Moore was out here, the former track superintendent that has come back as a consultant. A lot of trainers are happy to see that. There was a lot of rain yesterday, and as a result, the track was sealed. Dennis opened it up this morning. One of the officials said they just need to get some air into the racetrack right now because of all the rain. And they were out taking soil samples to get things right. And Dennis Moore, confided some of the trainers, I'm going to get this track right, and they have a lot of confidence in it.
Yeah, and while they're working on all that, trying to get the track right, there are many other layers to this story. For example, the economic aspect of it. There are many people out of work right now because there's no racing. The people on the front side who take bets or park cars. On the backstretch, exercise riders who are freelance, who don't have anything to do. Jockeys who can't ride in races, or their agents. So there are a lot of layers to this story. And then there are the horses. What are the horses doing right now?
Well, I walked through the backstretch at Santa Anita. It's an interesting thing because you see a lot of horses being walked under tack in the shed rows. You see a lot of riders on horses just kind of wandering around the backstretch. And then I talked to John Sadler, who has an open area behind his barn, and he turned it into a mini training track. He got all of his horses out to stretch their legs. So I asked him, why are they out there?
Well, we're tack walking today because both racetracks are closed. Good news is we'll be back on the training track tomorrow, Friday. These horses are ready to run, so you can't just stop on them. So we're going to ride them this morning, walk them extensively in the afternoon, and back on the track on Friday.
How long can they, how long can they go without serious training before they kind of?
Only a few days, because these horses are ready to run now, so they need to get back out there and train.
Yeah. What's been the hardest part for you?
Hardest part has been, seeing what's, some of the errors on management side. So hopefully they can get some more information out there and we get some more clarity on what's going on.
You mean errors meaning communication or?
Communications, and clearly there was an error with Dennis Moore. He never should have left, and he's back now, and for that I'm really grateful.
Sadler told me he has 50 employees here at Santa Anita and more at Los Alamitos. This is a major business that he's running, and he's just one of many trainers like this. Of course, he has to pay his employees. There's no money coming in the way of purses, and the owners are having to pay the day rates to keep the horses stabled and in training, even though they're not training. So this needs to get back to normal because a lot of trainers are worried about losing owners, frankly. That owners are getting very frustrated here. One trainer that asked not to be named said that biggest problem over the last few weeks has been the uncertainty of knowing what he was going to be able to do tomorrow. He said trainers are always planning ahead, and he can't make plans. When they closed the track we heard they were closing the track on Tuesday morning. He said, "You know what? I slept in. I slept till 7 o'clock. It's the first time in 18 years I've slept in."
Yeah, 7 o'clock is like noon for a trainer. And John Sadler mentioned the management mistakes, the communication issue, and I think if we broaden this out, this is where I see it going. This is not a local problem. This is a national problem for the racing industry. It's quite obvious it's going in that direction, and this just points out once again, we've talked about it endlessly, the need for national leadership from a commissioner or a league office. This is the perfect situation where that type of element would be extremely helpful to guide the industry through this. You know what? There's another event going on this week that involves animals and racing. It's the Iditarod, which has been around for 40-something years, and it's facing similar issues where PETA is on their case. Sponsors have backed out. There was a doping scandal a couple of years ago, and the Iditarod has taken positive steps. A best care kennel program that's new. They've got some new rules in place this year.
Yeah, I think in a lot of ways the perfect storm created this situation. This isn't the first track that has had a spike in racing fatalities and training fatalities, but it just so happened that one of the horses that died on the track was a major stakes winner, Battle of Midway, and the perfect storm created it, and you can't put the toothpaste back in the tube. You can't go back before where we were before. This, to me, is the tipping point, a learning opportunity for the industry to make some serious changes. And I'm not talking about minor changes. I think we need to address things like the whip in racing. We need to address serious medication reform. It even starts in Kentucky at the breeding farms. Are we doing things with yearlings that may be good to sell them at a yearling sale that may not be good for their racing careers? There's a lot of things that everybody in this industry needs to look at and say to themselves, am I doing what's in the best interest of keeping this industry around for a while? Because as some of these videos the national media has shown, people want to see this sport go away.
Yeah, and that's a tough thing to swallow when so many jobs, so many people are employed by this industry throughout the country. I talked about the Iditarod. I saw a story about one of the competitors. She's been in the race about 20 years now. She's finished second a lot. She's never won. And there were some quotes in this piece about her competitor saying, Allie's probably a better person than I am. I want to win, and I don't know if she would do anything possible to win. And another person said, she looks at her dogs as her teammates, while other competitors might look at them as fuel or ammunition expendable for the goal of winning the race. And to me, that is a very relevant quote to this business as well, because there are a lot of Allie Zerklers, her name, in this business. The ones who think of the horses as their teammates, who take ultimate care of them, that just are devastated if anything happens to them. And then I do believe that there are people who will try to win at all costs and will take an edge and do things they probably shouldn't do, and it's not in the best interest of the horse.
I agree, and I'm telling you, in California, the threat to the future of this sport is very real. And there was a couple of years ago at the University of Arizona Symposium, there was a panel on animal rights groups. And after it was over, Joe Harper got up and asked a question and made some comments. One of the things he said was, this is the biggest threat that I've seen in my 40 years in racetrack management. He said, these people are coming to a track near you, and you better be prepared for it. And I don't think right now the horse racing is prepared.
Yeah, and I think the surface issue that Dennis Moore is working on, we may come to find that because of this rain, because of sealing and unsealing the track and all this technical stuff, that sure, the track played a role in this, but that better not be the end of it, because we all know that a few years ago there were 14 fatalities as opposed to 18 to start the meet. I mean, that's a difference of 4. We had the big rash at Aqueduct a few years ago, at Del Mar. So it's not an isolated incident. This is not that far from the statistical norm. You know, what's really glaring here is the fact that it's at Santa Anita, which is in Los Angeles, so the national media is going to pay a lot of attention. If this was at Fauner Park in Nebraska, we probably wouldn't be hearing about it on the Weather Channel or CNN. So that's a big part of it. But now that it's happening, even though, again, it's statistically, it's not that far from the norm, and that needs to be said. And that needs to be the driving force for change going forward, in my opinion.
Yeah, this is not a Santa Anita problem. This is an industry problem, and it needs an industry solution. Locally, they're going to take care of the track. I'm confident that Dennis Moore will restore this and we can get back to racing as soon as possible. But the questions that remain will be, what is the industry willing to do to deal with societal changes? And society has changed. No question about it. All you have to do is look at the circus, which is no longer in business. Look at SeaWorld, which is now having roller coasters instead of whales. It's a changing world. Racing better be ready.
Well, we have a poll question about this. Do you think that this situation at Santa Anita, the shutdown and all the fatalities in the national spotlight, will drive significant change in the North American thoroughbred industry? Share your thoughts at PaulickReport.com. All right, that's going to do it for this edition of The Friday Show. Thanks so much for joining us, and we'll talk to you next time.